Hello and welcome to your weekly horoscope forecast for week commencing the 2nd of May. As this week begins, Venus, the planet of grace, of charm, of aesthetics, of fashion, but also of relating and of course of money, moves into the first zodiac sign of Aries. If you have been going through some soul searching around a relationship issue recently, this could bring you more into the present, especially if there has been, unfortunately, a separation in your situation. But Venus also moves into an immediate, sparkling alliance with Mercury in one of its two home zones of Gemini. Now this can lead to some flirtatious text winging around. It could also bring a greater sense of enthusiasm to the social scene. Of course, the Sun does continue alongside Uranus in Taurus, which is very much to do with our resources. But Uranus is asking us through the Sun to be as open-minded as possible, to not hold on to things that no longer serve our greater purpose. And in some ways that might be some of the things we've taken for granted a little bit because the cost of living has gone up so much. We might find actually that some of the things we thought were so essential we can let go, and because the two of them are forging such a very powerful and energizing link to the planet of drive, Mars, we can dig deep from within ourselves to find ways in which we can reorder things. Some of that sparkle that Venus and Mercury are going to bring, despite the fact that Venus is technically in its detriment in Aries, could be enjoying the interaction, the personal interaction, and that doesn't really cost anything at all. Now also there is by Sunday a quarter moon in the sign of Leo. This sees the Sun in the 2nd, the Moon in the 5th, which just cautions us not to be too free and easy with our resources. But also if there is somebody that we're rather fond of, perhaps they've become rather too used to us indulging them. And this could be a good moment to actually just reinforce our boundaries somewhat. But Jupiter, the planet of fortune, is forging a very powerful alliance to Pluto, the planet of transformation, that goes on all through this week. People who have this in their natal horoscopes are often very lucky and often make quite good progress in life in a material context. But of course, Jupiter in the sign of Pisces can be more of a spiritual dimension, but something can change or evolve in a way which pleases us through that particular influence. Also, Saturn in Aquarius is forging a semi-sextile to Neptune. Some of the things that we might think are very important to our structure of our lives, we might be able to let go of some of those with Neptune's help. But of course Neptune can erode structures in a less positive way, but I don't think that will be the case. I think again we can realise that some of the things that we think or thought were so important are not quite as important as they actually seem to be in the past. Now, if you would like to ascend above this Zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal information, I can give you a roadmap that can guide the rest of your life. A natal analysis is so incredibly insightful, but also with this, with my special offer, you can also get a 12-month forecast, and the two working together, and I give you 30% off, can really be so very meaningful in terms of tapping your potential, avoiding pitfalls, and making the right moves at the right time. Please see the link below this video for more. Finally, if you are new to my channel, before I give you your Zodiac forecast, if you would be so good to subscribe, I'd be really grateful. I'm racing towards 100,000 subs. It's taken a bit longer than it should have done because of all my health issues, but your support is greatly appreciated. Hello Aquarius, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for week commencing the 2nd of May. Venus, the planet of relating, but also the planet of loot, has moved into your 3rd solar house. This is where we express ourselves on an everyday basis. Now it's in a tete-a-tete with Mercury, the planet which is exalted in your sign and the ruler of the second decan of Aquarius. So you have a real affinity to Mercury, and that's in your 5th house, the sign of Gemini, your air triplicity. So this combination between the two, which goes on all week, could really give you the ability to be very nimble in your communications. If you're a Twitter lover, or you love sending amusing emojis to people, or you like to do your own TikToks, you can be on tip-top form with that combination, but could be flirty as well. But the core of your activity obviously does focus on the sun, and that's in house 4, which is about where you live, how you live there, and whom with. And of course it's aligning with Uranus, which has been causing some disruption over the last few years, particularly if you're an early born Aquarius. So that's essentially in the first 10 or 12 degrees of Aquarius, because Uranus has been moving through that sector since 2018 for 5 months, and then from March the 9th, I think, 2019, it's been in the 4th house. So things have felt very restless about home, family situation. But this week there are opportunities to use that restlessness to good effect. Mars, the planet of Pash, is in your sector of finance, and Mars is about desire, and its link to the Sun and Uranus suggests that something can happen quickly that really gives you a real sense of uplift. Maybe you're going to be quite daring in your approach, but also Jupiter, the planet of fortune, is ensconced in your 2nd solar house, and of course it's the traditional ruler of Pisces, so it loves being there, and that's in a great link to Pluto. So past efforts and endeavours can come back to you. Now, because the sign of Pisces has really been activated recently, hopefully that has presented you with some opportunities. But of course, I'm very sensitive to the fact that a lot of people's cost base has gone up dramatically. And maybe that is making you think about how you consume energy at home. The sign of Taurus is, of course, about the earth, and it is about things like natural gas and oil and so forth. And we're all having to think, what are the little tricks that we can do? I read earlier that there is a term for it, but all these devices that we leave on overnight, they create around about $150, $200 of cost each year. So if we turn them off at night, we can save that money. So these are the things that we can do that are good for the environment, but also good for our bank balance. But something surprising around your family, home, or living situation can be positive this week. I really believe that. And that lovely, enchanting link between Venus and Mercury suggests that you can relate to people in a very agile way. By the end of the week, however, there is a quarter moon in your opposite sign of Leo. Someone close to you may need a lot of support at the moment, or maybe two people that you're very fond of and not getting on so well, and you're in the role of the peacemaker. Venus in the 3rd house really encourages us to choose our words with a great deal of care. But Venus, of course, can be a bit superficial as well as utterly charming. So we need to mean what we say and say what we mean. But you could convey messages very, very skillfully, for sure. And if there are some sensitive emotional strands that need to be discussed or unpicked, I think your chart this week certainly gives you a lot of assets in order to do that very skillfully.